The thought of sacking clients, I was like, what? You can't sack clients, Mike, you're mental. Yeah. This works really well for you, but it's not working for me. I need more time.
As you've got more people, it should allow you to get more perspective, relax, see a bigger picture, plan for a bigger business. Sales are going to be down next year. We're in recession. What are we going to do?
Today's episode is with Alex Curtis. Alex runs the lead engine, helping companies get leads. But 7 years ago, Alex was stressed, anxious, just starting out in business. See Alex today, he's calm, he's confident, he's built his own systems around the systems we first started with, and you can achieve the success, comfort, and confidence that he has. Don't miss this episode. I met Alex first about 5 years ago when I was entrepreneur in residence at Alia Future Business Centre, where they had a hatchery, and then which is where people built ideas, and then they had fledglings where we were evolving those ideas, and other people came in with a business that they wanted to grow for scale or finance, and I helped them through that process. I was there for several years and met many people. Well, one of those people was Alex. So good to see you again, Alex.
Yeah, you too, mate.
Thank you for coming along. So, Alex, let's go back to that, and perhaps if you can describe where was you, how were you feeling, how was your business, why did you come and see me when we first met?
Oh, God. So I was making money, but I think you said off air a minute ago, you looked very stressed, and you were very stressed. I was contracting, and I think I was billing about 9 day rates a week. And I thought, more work I do, the more harder I work for the longest hours, the better it'll be. And I was I was just definitely at like some sort of breaking point. I think I had clients who didn't respect me. I was struggling, although I was a marketer, I was struggling to market my own business. But I thought I had something and I was good at what I did. I just wasn't.
Yeah, no, now you say that, it takes me back, because I remember one of the first strategies was getting rid of the cheaper customers that you desperately needed when you first joined. But doing it in a way where you said, look, I've got to put my prices up, I'm not making money on the deal that we've got it. Yeah. And if they weren't willing to make that transition, just going for the higher paying customers. Yeah. And actually, the more they were paying, funny enough, the more they respected you.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You say cutting off your tail, I think was the phrase.
Yeah, cutting off the bottom end, the 80% that makes you 20% of your profits.
Exactly, and the thought of sacking clients, I was like, what? You can't sack clients, Mike, you're mental. Yeah. But you have to.
Especially as a sole trader, because at the time, you've only got the time each week that you've got to give. Yeah. And so no one you can delegate to. So it's not like you could give them to a junior member of staff. So therefore, the only hours you had, as you quite rightly said, if you took on another client that was better paying, that ate into more family time. And you had a new baby at the time, your wife was kind of not ever seeing you, you were stressed because they were not seeing you, you wanted to do it, but you needed to make the money. Yeah. And so there is this need that says the enemy of the best is the good, which I use a lot, and any business is good business, but it's not best for you and it's not best for your business. And we had to make that strong decision to cut that tail off so that you'd create the void that enabled you, without killing yourself, to bring in new customers. And when that space or vacuum appears, we've got something to fill. That's it. And what was wonderful at the time was you were there to learn. You took it on board. We tried a few bits. We got some success. And I remember early on, you got some customers that were paying much more than those early ones, and you realised that they were easier. They were more respectful. You could do a better job for them. And then I remember seeing over the first few months how you relaxed into that role a little bit because you were getting some sleep. You weren't killing yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But tell me, for the benefit of anyone listening, remind me about the business, what it was, what you do, or what you did at that point in time, and then how that's evolved over time.
Yeah, I suppose where we're at now, there is financial advice market, brokers, advisors, traditionally either relied on referrals, which they can't control. You can ask for more, but you can't control, you can't sort of scale that. Or they bought leads from kind of some unscrupulous kind of websites who were kind of misleading clients potentially. So it wasn't really good for the advisor. So they get someone on the phone that didn't know who they were, wasn't expecting the call from them, and they'd probably been called by about 6 other people because that person sold that data to a lot of people. So we let these advice firms know that you can generate inquiries yourself through your website, and we coach them or we do it for them. But that's as a result of kind of creating a marketing process that works for my business, can work for any, but we've kind of found this market, this kind of niche, if you like, that works really well for us. We know it better than anyone else.
So your business is the lead engine.
Yes.
And that's about helping people get leads, win their own leads, where to buy leads.
To generate their own, to be in control of that, they can scale their business, because a lot of them, they'll hire like a self-employed advisor. There's not a lot of cost, well, the recruitment costs, but they can scale that business if they've got the leads coming in. If you've got quality inquiries coming through that are profitable, then it makes them much easier to scale. So we've helped scale a lot of businesses and helped some small people, by coaching, get to a point where they can grow and hire people. So we help that growth kind of phase through good quality marketing.
Brilliant. So we spent maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but spent maybe a year with you as a one-man band. We're transitioning your business approach, the way that you got your own customers, the way you manage those customers, the way you build those customers. Yeah. How many customers, employees do you have now? Where's it changed from that one-man band today?
Yeah, so we've got 12, I think now.
Okay.
12 full-time, and then there are some contractors like overfill, a couple if we need like help, but the core team is like 12 now. So.
And you're looking much more relaxed.
Yeah, I know, which is ridiculous. But yeah, so I met you in the April 2017. We did hire the first 2 in June. So I think the budget was there and the time was kind of there. But it was getting rid of, like you say, some of those low-paying ones that were taking a lot of time. And it was just seeing that, and it was kind of like the fear of like losing like guaranteed income.
And can you remember how we did that, what approach we took? What was it that got you to change from where you were?
I think it was, so I think it was certainly by going into those kind of legacy clients and actually just saying that this works really well for you, but it's not working for me. I need more time. I want to grow the business. I just had that. I think you said it was like, it's only a 5-minute awkward conversation to have. And they were fine with it. It was, you sort of build this, you think people are going to say no, when actually they need you probably more than you think.
No, exactly. And as a behavioural profiler, one of the things I often say to people is, the most conversations we have in any one day are with ourselves. We're constantly talking to ourselves. If I say this, they'll do that. I can't ring them and do this because they'll react like that. Yeah. And nearly always we're wrong. Yeah. I mean, we think we know ourselves, but we don't know others. Yeah. But we make all these assumptions rather than just picking up the phone and doing what's right. And I think if you do it with integrity, you want to do the best job you can for them. To do the best job you can, you need to charge them the right amount to be at your best, to grow the business, to give them a team that can support them. Now, once you can look at it through the perspective of, this is the right thing to do, not just for me, but for them. Because, start with the end in mind. The end in mind is that you build a great brand, great customer service. If you've got 12 people now, obviously you're growing your customer base fantastically, I assume. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we've now got, because I've been able to spend some time on our marketing, we can use the systems that were great for the people, the processes for ourselves, and be able to have that, have sales calls kind of in the diary, on almost autopilot. But we never worked on our own. I never worked on our marketing. It was always about clients, because I was a contractor. It was always like helping them grow their business and not working on my own.
So when we started, when you were sort of on your own, as it were, sort of that fledgling, trying to find your way around business, you had a good skill set and good intent. But were you setting goals at the time? What was your approach to business and where you might be able to take it and what you might do with it? Did you have written goals? Did you have any plan or strategy or system?
No, I didn't. I was just moaning, I think, about wanting to make this change. I kind of had what I wanted, but it was like a dream rather than a goal. And I wasn't doing anything about it.
Well, as you say that, and to me, they say a goal is a dream with a date on it. Yeah. And sometimes it is as simple as saying, this is what I want, £1 million turnover, I want 10 staff, I want 100 customers. And that's just a dream if you don't put a date on it. But if you say, I'm going to do that by November next year, I'm going to do that in the next 3 months, suddenly that's a goal. Yeah. And it is important to write it down. I mean, one of the things that constantly surprises me, there are 5.9 million businesses in the UK. 5.3 million of them have less than 10 employees. So you're already in the top 10% as you've got onto that 12.
Yeah.
And then the journey grows from there. But the reason I say that is so many of them have only grown, 90% have only got to the point where there's 10 or less employees, and they're probably juggling, and they're desperately trying to make sure that they can pay the wages of those 10, often paying themselves less than they're paying some of their key staff, not knowing if they're, and often it's their mortgage and their holiday and their cars that get cut short to pay for the staff. You know, without that ring goals, without that plan, without a system to follow, they're going to always stay at that small level. And they are the lifeblood of the UK. But what I want to do is to say, let's transition beyond that, because I'm sure you've found, or it's a question really rather than a statement, is as you've got more people, it should allow you to get more perspective, relax, see a bigger picture, plan for a bigger business.
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
Yeah, literally just hired someone that's starting in January, actually, one of the last kind of skill sets where there's someone else better than me at something, at every kind of skill set in the business now. So that should completely now free me up kind of entirely. But yeah, bringing in those people that take a massive chunk away from you then gives you the time to work on your own things, certainly.
And you saying hiring someone that's better than me, that's a really, really key point. And I think one of the things that holds so many small businesses down is they want to be the top dog. They want to be the kingpin. They think they have to be as good or better than all their people. I don't want them doing anything I can't do, is the kind of thing I hear. And yet when you look at the sort of mega stars of business, you know, the Henry Fords, couldn't read, couldn't write, left school at 14, knowing that he didn't have that capability meant that he employed the best engineer, the best marketer, the best salesperson, always looking for people better than him. You know, Bill Gates was once asked, what exactly do you do? Because you're not a programmer, you're not a marketer, you're not a salesman. You know, what is it you do? And what was fantastic was he said, I employ great people that are much better individually at everything they do than I am. He said, I like to think of it as like an orchestra. He said, I'm not a player of any of the instruments, but I can conduct that orchestra to do amazing things. And to me, when you can stop being playing an instrument, you can become a conductor. And that is a really necessary and rewarding transition, because so many people, you know, taking that analogy a bit further, they might say, I'm a fantastic heating engineer. I'm great at lead generation. I'm great at, I fit the best kitchens. But until they stop working in the business and start working on the business and get the perspective to see that they don't have to do all the doing. In fact, the more they do the doing, the less they got the perspective. The less they got the perspective, the less they can grow. And then what we do is we try and elevate from working in the business to working on the business to getting a really clear future plan. So tell me about goals. Do you write your goals down now? Have you got a clear system?
Yeah, I think what really helped, I don't know if you remember, I brought the vision board out, and I remember bringing it up to the cafe and the thing. I felt like, all right, Wally, holding this thing out.
But that was a big step
But
forward.
that was huge. That was huge. So for me, I think vision, not necessarily writing statements down, although I've found when you do, whenever I have done it, I've hit it. And I think the only thing that holds you back is like, well, why didn't I sort of set it a bit higher? And you sort of think, oh, well, I couldn't do that. So you tend to train yourself to, you kind of want to aim a bit higher, but you restrict yourself like a little bit, even though if I look at the goals for next year compared to when I met you, they're ridiculous. But it's only ridiculous because you think it's ridiculous, if that kind of makes sense.
Well, and you know, my head's full of, from my mentors and books and things, of sayings, and one of them is I soar further by standing on the shoulders of giants. And you know, each time you lift yourself up, you take advice from someone else, you meet someone at I know you do a lot of networking, and you meet someone at one of these events, and they give you a little snippet, a little gold piece of gold, a golden nugget of knowledge, of experience. You raise again. But it's really important what you said, the minute you wrote it down, you achieved it. And it is, you know, part of the reason we do transition mapping. Where are you today? Where do you want to be in 1 year or 3 years? What areas have we got to work on, and what are we going to do? But writing that, our creative subconscious is often called our taxi driver. And once we get in a cab, what do they say? Where do you want to go? Now, if we said, I just want to go north, or I want to be successful, or I want to have more money, that's like saying just drive. Or take me north. A taxi driver will say, yeah, give me a bit of help here, mate. Where exactly do you want to go? Or you say, oh, I'm going to Edmonton. Okay, I'll start driving. But as we get there, I need to know the address. What's the address I'm going to? And the number of the street almost, because their brains are amazing. Now, your creative subconscious is called a taxi driver because once you set it a destination, it will take you there. And it's a really good point. Don't set the goals too low because it will take you there.
Yeah, exactly.
But equally, negatively, when people start thinking, I think it's going to be terrible. I think we're going to be in a recession. What if we don't get any customers next year? That taxi driver, what you're doing is you're telling them, I think we're going to fail. We're going to fail. Sales are going to be down next year. We're in recession. What are we going to do? You're feeding that taxi driver loads of negative destinations. And you know what? If you haven't got a counter positive to change that, he'll take you there. Or she'll take you there. Yeah, exactly. Depending who your taxi driver is. Yeah. So great. So you got stronger and stronger goals. So are you going to set them even higher now?
Of course. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the next thing I want to talk about is one of the things I often talk about is we set our goals in concrete, but we set our plans in sand. Yeah. And Steve Jobs, if you Google Steve Jobs graduating address Stanford or something like that, is about a 16-minute speech. It's fantastic, and he talks about sometimes you look back and you can join the dots backwards, so you know where you wanted to go, but you didn't quite get there how you expected to get there. So we say we've set our goals in concrete, but our plans in sand. We need this flexibility because if it was a mapping, we talk about transformation mapping, we might be driving there, the car could break down. We might be on the train, they might cancel halfway. We then have to make alternatives. But if our goals are in concrete, we're still going to aim there. Yeah. We're still going to get there, and we'll find another vehicle to get us there. So I know your business has changed somewhat. Talk me through a little bit of where you thought your business was going to be, what areas you thought you were going to be key focus on, and how that's transitioned in the last few years and where it is now.
Yeah, so I think with that market, that kind of niche, if you like, we were certainly open. I did a lot. In fact, some of the companies I was contracting with, it was like sports products. It was like portable floodlights for football teams and cryotherapy chambers and things like that. So so the cryo chambers and it was kind of, that was working really well. And it could have been professional sports products could have been the thing, or it may have been there wasn't a thing. It was just we do lead generation for anyone. But I think what we found was when you kind of have this kind of inch wide, mile deep. I think I said earlier we're the best at this market because we're learning something every day on this market that we're already the best at. Because we've got one type of client with one problem that we know how to fix, and we are just I can have like a sales call with someone. It's not a sales call. I'm just letting them know what we've done, how it works, and I could go toe to toe with anyone on that subject because we're just really focused on it. And I think that's helped us grow more than by doing the same thing for.
And what is that focus now?
So the financial advice market of people. I mean, we've got set criteria for the clients that we want, and if they don't hit that, we can coach you, but it's not. So it's certain criteria. Really, a lot of it is around their sort of website stats. Like if you've got less than 50 5-star Trustpilot or Google reviews, we can't. There's no point in running any Google ads. You're not going to get the quality you want. So you've got to come back. When
5 years ago, you'd have taken a customer whoever they were, exactly. Whatever there wouldn't have been any criteria.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because to me, I like that saying. I haven't heard that inch wide, mile deep thing, but it's about focus. Yeah. And I always picture and sometimes show people the old magnifying glass, where if you hold it still, you can literally start a fire. Yeah. You can set a house on fire with one little magnifying glass. Yeah. But if you're moving it around all the time, you've got no chance. And that is back to the taxi driver. That's like saying, I just want to go north. I want to build a business. That's great. What are you going to build it in? Well, lead generation. Okay, lead generation is like this wide. Yeah. But once you start to close it down, you know who to target. And one of the key things of lead generation is, who is my customer? Yeah. Where do they commune? And what I mean by that is, are there certain websites I can find them on? Are there certain affinity or affiliate marketing that I can do? But the minute you got that focus down, you were able to have a rifle level focus on, that's where they are, that's where I can find them, what services do they need? And then I remember you used to do a lot of video chat calls and to groups and to individuals where you were advising, But and I used to listen to some of them on the internet. But you were also learning all the time because you were asking so many questions.
I learned.
And you don't, as a consultant or advisor or service provider, you don't always have to have answers. Sometimes it's about asking the right questions.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a sort of DIY package that's not particularly profitable. If I spoke to my accountant, they'd be like, "Why are you doing this?" But you learn because it's where I spend a lot of time with our advisors, with brokers, and actually I get just as much from them as they get from me. In terms of just and speaking to clients, like you learn everything you need to know about marketing your business from speaking to potential clients, and I think we take that for granted. So when I was contracting, that's one thing I sort of miss out on now, was just I used to work with contracting in a call centre actually just over there, and just hearing the sales conversations would give me ideas, because marketing is basically answering the questions that people don't know. You can build rapport with them by letting them know the questions that they want answering, sort of thing. So knowing the questions, and then you should know the answers because you're the expert. It's just like, once you know the questions that your potential clients have, you give them the answers, and you do it on video, podcast, and you build rapport, you build trust, and then they want to work with you more than anyone else.
And they tell other people, because one of the things I remember when you came in to see me, and you got real pride, sort of chest puffed out, because you'd been asked to speak at a conference. So you'd gone from like struggling to get things to get the money to pay the rent, as it were, or mortgage, to a position where you were then getting better and better customers. They were realising your expertise. You were becoming known for that. And suddenly you were asked to speak at events. And those events became great business generators for you as well.
Absolutely. And then we started doing our own events, and now we've got official partnerships. We're a preferred supplier with one of the biggest networks for financial advisors. And then we're working on, at the minute, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it or not, we'll keep it here, it's fine. But they often fund things for their new businesses. So maybe the network may fund our services for them to pay it back through their future income, if that kind of makes sense. So new businesses coming in, they can pay for us with their future business that they write.
Because they know it's going to be a lead generation sort of back through offering
so they do it on other things like recruitment and things like that. The network will actually fund things. So being in a position where they trust us enough to kind of put that risk in, if you like. So we would never be anywhere near that network if we weren't that kind of inch wide on that market.
Well, and also because you are so focused, you can't sort of say, well, if I upset that sector or do something wrong in that sector, I can go for this. I guess you could, but it was interesting before we started, and Ash sort of was asking you what you do, and you were saying about, well, once I realised it was about making them more successful, focusing on my customers' needs, the business just grew. If I make it too selfish about me. So you can set a goal that says, I want this many customers, I want to do this turnover, but then you have to recognise that comes from being amazing at what you offer to help your customers. And I was just listening in and thinking, that's exactly that. You focus on doing a great job for enough other people, and you'll deliver great success.
So I've got a quote for you. Hopefully you didn't come up with it.
No, I don't know.
being selfishly unselfish. So the more unselfish you are by helping them, you get so much more back. So it's kind of.
No, I didn't come up with that.
But, I'll claim it then.
Selfish, unselfish. It's a great quote, and it reminds me of Zig Ziglar when someone said, "How do you become successful?" And he said, "Help enough other people become successful,
it's true.
and you'll be successful." So that's really key. And one of the other things that's sort of similar is. They say you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that order. Sort of listen more before you get it out. And more importantly for your kind of business in so many ways, because you've got to really listen to what they need and understand who are they after. So what leads are going to be right for this customer versus that customer versus this customer. Because if you don't give them what they need, they don't always tell you that, they just go elsewhere. So a lot of customers don't complain, they just don't come back if you haven't ticked that box. So being selfishly unselfish, the unselfishness is about really understanding how can I do a best job for them. And that comes back to you, obviously. So what systems do you think, if you were now sitting and working with a fledgling or a young or aspiring business person at this moment in time, what key sort of systems or approaches or disciplines would you say are most important that you'd want to pass back, as it were?
I think being a marketer, I'd always sort of naturally focus on that, and I think having I think the fear of kind of hiring staff and making those kind of leaps are because you're worried where the next bit of income is going to come from. So I think if you sort that out, so you've got this, you can actually plan, that leads are going to come in, that business is going to come in because you. So I would focus on that and a lot
on marketing.
On marketing, on actually how am I going to actually get new business in, and once you've got that system sorted, and then your income is going to come in, you can afford to bring these people in to then free you up.
Yeah.
I think that's where I went wrong by actually just not spending on how I'm going to get my own clients and just scrabbling around for what I got. So then when we were having conversations about hiring staff, it was like, I know I need to get so many clients, but I didn't have that system in place. And I think now, the comfort now of having that system in place, that my diary does get filled up, that allows me the time to grow and obviously the revenue to be able to do it as well. So definitely focusing on that. And then if you're a service business like me, like you said, there's no secrets, but other than people buy from people. There's a guy called Chris Ducker. Chris Ducker, I went to his conference and he said, look, there's no B2B, there's no B2C, there's only P2P. People buy from people. And so it's personal branding, so people, there was one point where if you asked someone, do you work with the lead engine? They'd be like, who's the lead engine? I work with Alex. It's easier for people to remember and trust in you as an individual than your business and your brand. And I think so many businesses hide behind this brand. So I think I've got to be like a business. I've got to look like a corporate business. No, just.
I'd love to focus on a few of those things and then come back to more, because you're coming up some great nuggets here that I'm learning as well. And that's the thing, being a lifelong learner. So they're not saying I can do this now. I don't need it. And, often they say that cleaners have the messiest houses or whatever. And that, like, I know I'm a lead engine, but I can't pay for leads myself. It's crazy. But when it comes to marketing, one of my clients used to be Coca-Cola. And at the time, they were the biggest advertising spender in the world. And people say, but it's Coca-Cola, why do they need to advertise? Everyone knows Coca-Cola. Everyone drinks Coca-Cola or has had it, or they know the product. Why do they need to spend so much? And certainly, why would they spend more than anyone else? And it's because they want to stay at the top and they want to connect with people constantly. But interestingly, if you look at their adverts and you talk about P2P and building that personal brand or treating almost their products as if they were a person, when you see a Coke ad, if it's a 30-second ad, let's say, it'll be about friends having fun together. It'll be about a great sporting event. It'll be about a great musical event. And the last 2 seconds, it might just be a glug, 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 as it goes in. But most of it is connecting that you consume Coke when you're enjoying time with friends with your favourite sport, and they're creating that mental connection as well. And I absolutely get that. The only time that changes slightly is when we're looking at business valuation and we're looking to exit a business. What you don't want is a business that's all about Alex. So
absolutely.
You always want to be the face of the business. You always want an open door position where customers can get access to you, and you're not sort of so high and mighty that you're above them. But if we're coming into this period where we're going to exit the business, we're looking to sell it, and actually even to scale it, you need to say, let me introduce you to Tom. He's amazing on this area.
That's it.
And you start promoting, edifying, helping people see the value in people below you. Because the biggest fear or risk to a person buying a business is if it's all about Alex and he gets a couple of million quid and he sits on a beach, is the business going to fall apart? Yeah,
so I think absolutely certainly one thing we've talked about from the beginning was I said earlier, I'm hiring people that are better than me. I've got this wide skill set, but I need people that are better than me at that thing. I'm now the second best person at Google Ads in financial advice because Tom, my head of performance, is the best. And then my tech, got my tech guy's got to be better than me at that. My Tessa, she interviews our clients, she's got to be better than me at that. And now we've got our own podcast, and now we're doing team episodes. So people know Tom, when we bring clients on, they're like, oh, Tom, I feel like I know you already because I've heard you on the podcast. So it's not just me now. You get these people in, where it becomes, you know, the lead engine as a team. But I think in the beginning, right at the beginning, leverage yourself, and because people will trust you. That Coca-Cola had to spend so much more money for people to recognise that brand, but you know, Richard Branson or whoever, or Elon Musk, you know, it's you recognise faces, names, you know, the sound, how people look, and you can trust them more. You know, it's easier to trust you than some other brand.
Yeah, it was, and in the way that I've often heard it described, and I shamelessly steal some of these quotes and use them again and again because they swim around in my head, is people do business with people they like, know and trust.
Yeah.
So if I like you, so we built some rapport because either the way that you come across when we meet or online or whatever, there is rapport, and that is important. No, over time I've got to know you, and sometimes that can be created in social media. I feel
exactly.
like I know you, but I don't know you. And then it's trust.
That's it.
And if I don't know that I can trust you, do other people I know use you? So can it be a kind of borrowed trust initially? Because they say that people are 9 times more likely to buy if a friend recommends them than through an advert. So we're finding this kind of, how do we create that like, know and trust, and what are the different dynamics and mechanics to connecting in those ways? And some of it is just getting out there, but it is really, really important. And I really like this people to people, because there's so many cliches that distract from what is important, I think. So what other systems do you do in terms of talking about strategy, goals, goal setting with your team? Do you individually goal set them, or is it as a team you're converging towards a goal? How does that all work for you?
I think we've sort of got like a leadership team, and then the business itself in terms of growth goals. There's those, and then people have their own kind of individual ones as well. But yeah, certainly it helps kind of get them motivated about their job as well, by setting, you know, achievable goals for them, and also getting them involved in trying to do it as well. Like how to, you know, what, and speaking to them as well, because I think one thing businesses don't do is don't speak to the boots on the ground. You know, they're speaking to the clients way more than me now. So actually, like, what do you think we should be doing as well, getting their buy-in? But yeah, certainly. And then it's like, okay, so how can we do that? And then giving them little projects to be able to achieve what they think that would help us grow. Yeah,
and do you have incentives in place for them when you achieve?
I think we've certainly done. I haven't got like an official one kind of written down, but we do lots of stuff together because we're working remotely now. We meet up a lot together. The guys have had some giving them like Amazon vouchers and things like that for their, you know, Christmas and things like that. But they've all achieved. We've not had really anyone not achieve those goals. So this time of year in December, I don't really call it a bonus, but certainly let them know that their hard work has been appreciated a lot. Yeah, constantly sort of letting them know that they're appreciated every Friday on WhatsApp at the end of the week in the group. I think certainly, because it's very easy, like one bad apple can sort of ruin.
No, in fact, I used that just the other day, and people are saying, I said, that person, you've spoke about them a lot today, they're clearly not right for the business. I said to you, if you got 12 people, in their case it was more, but if you got 12 people and you had to get rid of one tomorrow for the survival of your business, which one would it be? You know it already in the time it took to ask the question. Why are they still there? And they said, oh, well, you know, I want to wait till the new year, and it's not right, I've got to replace them. So basically you're abusing it, even though you know they're going to go, you're keeping them just because it's convenient to you, but they're a bad apple. If you had a bowl of apples and one rotten one in there, would you say, oh, I'll leave it till tomorrow because, you know, the pot looks nice at the minute? No, you'd take it out straight away. And the enemy of the best is the good in that sense. A good person, all right, but winning teams only have the best players, and that's one of the key things I have. But the reason I asked about incentive is I do a lot around incentives at the moment, and there's this cycle of how do we attract, train, motivate and retain the best people, and the sort of motivate and retain, you're right, recognition is absolutely key, and money is great and people are motivated by money, and I think more for me it's about trying to put something in place that lets them know that they're part of the journey, are going to get rewarded along the journey. But if you just gave them money but not the recognition, that doesn't work. And they say I love the saying about recognition that babies cry for it, soldiers die for it. We all need it. And literally, people, when you think about frontline soldiers, they're on minimum wage, and yet they're putting their life at risk for the chance to be seen to be a hero, to do the right thing, and get that recognition that they so deserve. And it's about getting that attention. So I think that is key. I would tend to suggest that the importance of looking at, I always think 10 or 20% of profits going forward. If you want to get high growth, they give just that little bit extra if they know that we've got to hit the target before that kicks in. So if you say this year we're going for an 18% growth, guys, but you know what, we're going to have a point for every month that you worked here, a point for every 1,000 that we earn, and then we're going to divide the profit up, or 20% of it, or 10% of it, you decide, into points and then divide it out. They all know, Christ, we've got to hit the goal, hit the goal, then there's an upside. But that's something to think about for the future. And talking about the future, where next for you? What have you thought? If I said in 3 years, in 5 years, what's your business going to look like?
I read a really good book called Built to Sell, and I think one of the lessons in there was like build it to sell, so you don't need to. So that if you wanted to, you talked about millions but that was certainly a goal at the beginning. But also, why wouldn't I want to create a business that is profitable, that can work without me and doesn't need me, but I enjoy being part of. So I want to be at a point in that next 3 years where if I wanted to sell it and retire on the beach, I could do, but I'd actually still want to be hungry to help grow it some more. And actually, why would I? But being able to kind of now have all those key elements in, so there's no kind of anxiety about not being at work. I think I had my first holiday where I didn't open the laptop in the summer, where it literally didn't open. I got one WhatsApp message, I think. So having that where it's like, I can just not even take the laptop. So I'm not even thinking, I need it in case of emergency.
So massively liberating for you, but also what that says to your team is there's a load of trust there.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not ringing up, have you done this, have you done that, reporting. And a lot of people, their whole value is self-determined by being needed, and yet really the best value you can do as a parent or as a leader in a business is to get them to a point where they don't need you. They're your friend, they want to spend time with you, but they don't necessarily need you.
That's it.
And I think this built to sell, I hadn't thought about it in that title before, but what we talk about in transition mapping is we always structure into sell, not because we want to sell, but because that's the best way to optimize the value of a business.
Exactly.
And sometimes we might need to sell a business. Let's say something terrible happened, the leader, the owner had a heart attack or died, or just needed to be away from the business because a loved one needed that time. If you weren't properly set up, often they say, but and I talk about safety, security for your family, and you might say, well, it's the business. But if you died, that business will fall apart very quickly, not so much because of the way you've set it, but often in many cases, and the family already dealing with grief have got to think about the business. So if you can make it completely independent, not only is it worth more in the event that you wanted or needed to sell it, but you're starting to get that freedom back, and your people are starting to be respected enough to know that you value them enough to literally leave your business with them. So I mean that's great. What if there was one thing that you would want to give to someone else starting a business that you said the biggest single thing that you think is important when building a business? What would it be? I think believe in yourself that you can do it. Other than, I think if I'd not talked about the P2P thing, I think that's massive game changer. Just letting people buy into you, but also getting over yourself and believing that you can do it. I think, and then that comes back to the goal setting, which sounds like a really soft, horrific answer, but a lot of the time it is. Not at all. Because if you know that it's about building your brand, and then you believe in you as a brand, it holds you to account as well. Because if you are the face, or you're creating yourself as the face that is the head of the business, you've got to set the high standard that everyone else follows by. So I don't think that's bad at all.
Like your book says, failure breeds success. I think a lot of people are afraid to fail when actually it's not until you give up. It's just don't give up. If you like we said earlier, if you get to know your client, your potential customer so well, and you've created something that you know they need and does add value, if you honestly believe you've created that and you don't give up, then it will work. and then you'll probably get a few kick in the balls like along the way. But if you genuinely believe in it and you don't give up, it will be successful. So it's like, be honest with yourself. You've told me that a few times. You've got to be honest with yourself.
The 11th commandment, thou shalt not kid thyself.
Yeah, exactly.
We know when we're not doing the right stuff. We know if we're being disingenuous. We know if we're delivering a poor service to customers often. And I mean, that failure breeds success. The reason I insisted the book was called that at the time, Against Advice, because people said you shouldn't have failure in the title, is that everything we ever become good at, we're probably rubbish at to start with. Learning to walk, we get up, fall down, get up, fall down, get up, fall down, get up, fall down. We don't say, sod it, I'm not meant to walk, I'm going to stay here. Our desire to walk is so strong that we push through it. And then computer games, or learning to ride a bike, or drive a car, or build a business. The failure is not the opposite to success, it's a part of the journey to success. And actually, with every failure, you get stronger as long as you don't stay there. If we pick ourselves up, dust ourselves down, learn from it, move on, we are never a failure. We may have failed in something, but it was an event, not a destination.
Absolutely. I think we've all heard the Edison light bulb thing. I'm not sure everyone knows about Dyson and the amount of times he created that it's just a part of, because he believed that it was possible and he could do it, so he didn't give up. I think it's like just knowing that, and like I say, be honest with yourself that it is right. And just get on with it. And then as well, you kind of took, this things in the sand, but also you do need that focus, and it will move around. But I think sometimes I've met a lot of people they'll focus on this for a minute, and then they'll go off there, and there'll be a shiny new object for them to go after, and then they don't focus on that.
It's a really good point, and when I'm helping people set goals, build a transition map, and using the word map is, when you set a map, when you set a destination on a map, and you work out the route to it, I say to them, what do you think that the map gives you? Why do we have a map? Why do we need not just the goal, but the how to get there, even though we may vary, because it's in sand, as it were. And they say, to tell us what we got to do. I say, but equally, it's about telling you not what to do. Because the problem with entrepreneurs, most of them is, they can see opportunity and ideas in everything. So, I'm going towards this, oh, Bitcoin looks good, oh, no, good. Oh, property, I'm going to go into property kind of thing. And it's the distraction. When you've got a clear map and a route to it, and you're dedicated and committed to that, focus and discipline, the two things that I say are focus and discipline, if you're disciplined on that, then you're going to achieve it. And so a map to me gives you the ability to say no. That could be a great opportunity. It's not for me at the moment. I'm focused. That could be a great opportunity, but it's not part of our priority or part of our journey. I'll make a note of it for later, another opportunity when I finish this one, but I'm obsessively focused on hitting that goal now. And it's a bit like saying to a taxi driver, I'm going to King's Cross, I've got a train in 20 minutes. And he said, all right, I'll do my best, mate. And then you say, oh, actually, I need some cash from the cash machine. Can you stop at the cash machine? Oh, I'm hungry, I need some food and drink. And then you're having a go at him because you didn't get to your train in time. If you haven't got focus and discipline, you're always going to be missing those opportunities. And I have at home what I call my what if book. It's only a little, what size is it, A5. And if I get these ideas, as all entrepreneurs do, it's like, oh, I can do this. I write it in the what if, and it's what if I had time, or what if this didn't work, or what if I wanted a new goal. I then look back, but I need to write it down, otherwise it grows in my brain and it distracts me all the time from my current focus. So I need to get it out of my brain, noted. I know it's noted then, so I can forget about it, and then I'm back to my map. Alex, it's been fantastic.
Thank you, mate.
Alex from the Lead Engine. Thank you. And if you liked, subscribe. We really appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you again on another session of Success is a System. Thanks very much.